Welcome to Sovereign Mamas, the podcast sanctuary for visionary women who are building lives, businesses, and legacies in alignment with their feminine power. I'm your host, Julia Jerg, intuitive business coach, mama of two, and systems strategist for solo-led entrepreneurs. Here, we honor both your sacred role as a mama and your wild vision as a changemaker. Expect soul-aligned strategy, raw storytelling, behind the scenes, and powerful conversations that support you in scaling your business without sacrifice. If you're done choosing between success and sovereignty, you're home. Let's begin. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sovereign Mamas podcast. And this week is when we are recording this is actually a beautiful week to remember the rebirth, renewal. It's after Easter. And I just, I put a colorful shirt on. I felt like really spring, even though living in Bali, you never really notice the changes of seasons. But I kind of felt today is a day and the face or after Easter, it always feels like a fresh start. And I think today's guest is actually fitting perfectly into this theme. And so I'm really excited to have you on, Jaya. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Julia. Thank you.
Cool. I
Mm.
know the overall, when this is streaming and it doesn't matter, like this is an evergreen conversation, obviously, but maybe let's start with the topic of Easter renewal. How have you spent the weekend, and what does it mean for you as a mother and as a woman in nowadays times? Um, when something like a traditional holiday comes up, and I'm using quote unquote because I feel, and I'm saying this, I had actually not planned to talk about this, but now it comes up. I saw someone else on social media the other day saying, "Oh, I explained to my little one what
Mm.
Easter actually means," and I didn't use the word Jesus or um, what else did she not use? Yeah, she was just like talking about the concept of new beginning, embracing the beauty of springtime and so on and so forth. And I felt that this is an overall concept that we can use, when old things, traditions do not, not anymore resonate with ourselves. How can we reinvent it so that we still operate from our authentic self, especially when we are talking to our children?
Oh, what a beautiful insight. Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll just start by naming the work that I do, which is somatic experiencing. So I've been working in that field of somatic trauma renegotiation for 17 years now. So the theme is both, in my home this last weekend, but also through my work, through every client that I see and working with, the integration of uh, stuckness or um, yeah, you can think about, you could say shadow or just the muck,
Mm.
that we kind of get left with when, overwhelming events have happened to us. And so I just love working with that theme of renewal every time that I work with people. And then in my home, yeah, with my son. So my son's just turned 15 recently.
Mm.
And so, yeah, actually, yeah, mm, I'm just trying to, yeah. He spoke to me about, he's like, Mom, today's the day that Jesus died on Good Friday, because my parents took him to church a lot.
Mhm.
Whenever they saw him, they would take him. And yeah, and on the day that Jesus rose, according, to the Bible, the exact dates, of course, may not be exactly accurate, but we had been at a hot spring in the mountains, and we were driving through the mountains, and there was this light rain coming down and the sun coming out through the clouds.
Mm.
And it was this incredible rainbow that had emerged over the lake. And my son and I pulled over and we just looked at it. We were like, wow, this is like so beautiful. Because you see rainbows sometimes here, but you don't see them all the time. And so I just thought, wow, this is like, yeah, like it's interesting as the day of the resurrection. And I just thought, even all the darkness, it seems, if we want to say darkness or difficulties that are going on in the world today, it seems like everything is, well, extreme, in chaos, and that the natural world always shows us also that everything is simultaneously can be in perfect harmony and can be perfectly beautiful and can be perfectly whole and can be alive. And, so that's what comes to me when you ask about that theme of
Yeah, I love
renewal
that.
and rebirth. Yeah,
It's
it's really
always
beautiful.
also like I really love that. And just when you spoke, I thought about, how when we're open and conscious or aware of the fact that there is always duality in every situation.
Mm.
I was actually driving this morning when I dropped the kids to school, and then I was driving on my motorbike, and that's always when I get so many downloads because it's not meditative because Bali traffic is crazy, but it gets me always into the zone. And and I was thinking about that because I was receiving a good message and a bad message this morning. And after my meditation, I came out and I opened up the good message first and then opened up the bad message. And I was like, oh, this is so interesting, right? How something great can happen and at the same time something not so great. And it made me again like just reflect on life in general and how we then have a choice. We always have a choice. What do we focus on? How do we react? What is our, what do we tell the friend? Like which part of the story are we picking out you know, and yeah, so when you speak a lot about coming home to the body, yeah, in your
Mm.
work. And what does that actually like feel like for someone who might have not experienced that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, one thing I want to say, what is so dependent on what we choose to share is our
Mhm.
nervous system state, right? So there may be other factors as well. I mean, obviously, our developmental conditioning and the mental patterns that we've rehearsed and all of these things. But that is what, has constructed the foundation of our nervous system. And so on any given day, if you get that news, the good thing and the hard thing, it's like, okay, so um, yeah, am I in fight flight? Am I in freeze? Am
Mhm.
I fawning, like people pleasing? What's happening in me? And the way my nervous system's firing in this moment. And I sense that based on that is what we, will share outward, what
Yeah.
we'll give to the world, is what's going on in our inner world.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, so that's one reflection. And I
Thank you.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, just as an intro to the subject. And I mean, coming home to our body, is very much something that we don't learn in the West, I would say. I sense that since we are young children, and maybe this is why we're attempting to parent our children differently, is that to connect them with their bodies instead of what so many of us got, which was disconnection. It's kind of disconnect from your too big emotions, go to your room to cry, or, just suck it up and go back out there kind of thing, and so all of these things that we learn growing up, um, they become part of our nervous system, like I said, foundation, but also how we perceive, how we react or respond to people, environment. and our own emotional world, and the emotional world of our kids, all of it, right? And so I feel like it's really a revolutionary act to really intentionally come home to our bodies, to the sensations, to the emotions, to the feelings, and to gain the capacity to stay when everything in us wants to leave.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And yeah, yeah, and gifting that to our children as a new way of being and being okay with, like, it's such a, yeah, it's a gift. I really think that we're the generation who has the awareness, or we're still like it with one foot in our old conditioning, the patterns and everything that we inherited, but then we're one step, one foot out, and we have the power to, not pass on what we inherited and learned and grew up with. And so, yeah, it's a really crucial time and moment in history, I feel. And that always gives me chills because I love it. I love the idea of having the power to change something and rewrite paradigms and, really be the change and then see it in others too. And so when you talked about your son, I also know from what you shared in the form with me is that your son or your son's medical journey has clearly shaped your path. And
Yeah.
how did motherhood deepen or transform your understanding of trauma and healing in that?
Mm. Yeah, well, that's a very deep question because it's so layered,
Yeah.
and I sense that I would not be doing this work in this way.
Mm,
Before my son was born, I had studied energy therapy for about 10 years, and I was practicing that full time. After, being a consultant in the federal government for almost 10 years as well. So I had a very interesting life path, going from that world of international development to then energy therapy, writing a book, and then after my son was born, he yeah had these health challenges that he was just born with that we had no idea and were very surprised to learn of. Um, and so, I mean, ultimately, as mothers, I think we grow the compassionate heart
mhm,
in a way that not many other paths can evoke
mhm,
from the human heart, I feel, especially of women. I mean, there's many paths, and of course, there's saints and women who, found that in another way, but I think it's a sure path to open that, and at the very least.
yeah.
And so, yeah, it forced me to stay with what was in myself. That's one thing I can say. Because as you know, there's nowhere to go when you have a kid who's not well and they're, needing multiple medical procedures. There's nowhere to go. You just stay. Right. So for me, it was the ultimate medicine because if you want to say medicine or sadhana, spiritual practice, because I had traveled for probably 6 years, to over 30 countries and studying here abroad and different places. And yeah, and so then I had to stay. So then I had this child that really couldn't be far from the hospital for 12 years for the
Wow.
first 12 years of his life. Yeah. So it dramatically changed things. I don't really know how to quantify it.
Mhm.
It was a pretty strong experience. Yeah. And now it's lightened for sure because we're here in Bali. So yeah.
So interesting. And this is just like, I mean, we've seen each other, but I've never really known about your story in detail. And it's so incredible because our stories are very similar. Like I had a very nomadic life pre-kids, then got pregnant, took the kids on the road, and then found out that my youngest, when he was 1 year old, has a genetic defect, which also required, you know, adjustments. And I was then it coincided also with COVID, and it just made me stay put after a decade of traveling and working globally around the world and stuff. And
Wow.
that what you said resonates so much with me, like the fact that I mean, yeah, you're basically called to look deeper and yeah, to stay with yourself, right? It's like literally you're still you're forced to stay in one place, but then also now look into your eyes every day and go make it happen and make it work.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
you led us to Bali. How interesting.
Yeah. Well, and Ubud, this
Mhm.
place that means medicine, from
Mhm.
the word ubad. And yeah, so
I
this
didn't know that.
medicine, I guess, that we finally are
Finally get.
also getting to receive alongside our kids.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know
Mhm.
that. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, yeah, because it's this place here is where the people would come for hundreds, if not thousands of years for healing in Ubud. It's where the three rivers meet in
Mm.
Ubud. There's a place in town, and this is the place people would come for healing. And so this is why so many people come here continuously, for healing because it's had that energetic pull for so
Wow.
many thousands. Yeah, I could say thousands, hundreds, thousands of years. Yeah.
Yeah, and isn't it also you know, the chakras of the world? It's one in Hawaii and then one here and then one somewhere else. Where's the other one? India, I think.
Yeah, and I think also in the what are those mountains in Latin America, in like Peru, in the
Yeah.
or it's in the Amazon. There's I'm
Okay.
trying to think of a place there, but yeah, I've heard that that's the another one. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can check. There's studies where they try to map the energy here, and it's basically off the map. They cannot. It's like the
Mm.
energy field is so powerful and expansive here that they cannot measure it. It's like, yeah. So yeah.
Is that something that you can confirm or have you heard of? I mean, this is really maybe too out there for some of the listeners, but I'm just like very interested in energy work myself. And I feel speaking about this, that question just comes up because I had a friend. So we used to live in Thailand before moving here last year. And my friend back there, she said, during her years in Ubud, she lived in Ubud for 6 years. She met several people who were like spiritual, work guides, workers, energy workers, healers. And each time they had a story why they came here, and then they had a story how they got kicked out of Bali. And she said, and she could feel it when her time was over. Nothing would work out anymore. Nothing flowed anymore. And she felt this like she wasn't welcomed anymore. Do you have a
Hmm.
story like that where you feel,
Oh, yeah. I mean, you talked about polarity before, and I just sense that Bali is this place of uh, bringing the polarity to light. And so, because of all the ceremony and all the prayer, it's like there's no muddiness around what is light and what is dark. It feels like it's clear. And my sense is that if you're not aligning with the energy of the island, we don't have to call it light, dark. It's an
Mhm.
energy that then it expels you because it's like, everything is energy, right? And so it's like, why don't relationships work anymore? Or why don't, different things? Because the energy, and the polarity, somehow it becomes um I don't know. Is it like there's a disconnect? It creates a disconnect. And so then we kind of get spat out of that
Mhm.
relationship. So whether it's with a person or with land, maybe yeah, anyway, that's another deep thought to go into. Um, but yeah, so my feeling just living here is like, yeah, do the ceremonies as much as as you can join or make the offerings on your altar. Go to the water temple if you can once a month to just keep bathing yourself in the way of life, also of the people here, so that your nervous system state also can be harmonious with that of the people in the land so that you belong to the land. Actually, it's a very interesting thing you say because I had during the recent or the recent festival that they had here for the New Year.
Mhm.
So the Ogo Ogo parades that night, and then the next day is Nyepi, as you know, and the Day of Silence. And the Ogo Ogo parades I'd always gone to, which is, they are walking, 10 to 14-foot monsters that they've created out of paper mache through the street, marching them through the street to really say, scare away the demons, scare away the darkness with these big, scary monsters, right? And then they burn them, and then the next day we're told to stay in our house because actually if there's any dark spirits left, they just want the dark spirit to think, oh, just fly over this land. No one is here. No one is here to bother. So, um, on that night, usually I go out in the parade. I don't know if you went out with your boys. Did you
Yes,
go?
we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my son was away, and I thought, no, I'm just going to stay in silence and just, yeah. And that night I had a dream of a Balinese man coming in my room. I've never had such a profound, like clear dream with the Balinese people. And at first I felt afraid, but then he came and he did this on my third eye. He just like opened it. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so wild. I mean, I don't think about my third eye often. I don't like,
Mhm.
I practice yoga sometimes. I'm not like, but this was, and I told the Balinese family who lives downstairs, and he said, wow, that's really like an initiation to the land to be like accepted by the land, to marry the land. This was a Balinese man, and it was very much about marrying the masculine and feminine, another polarity. And
Nice.
so, anyway, I just named that because I think if you belong to the land or whatever we belong to our body when we belong to relationships, then we are not spit out so much.
Mhm.
We're not, it's like there's a resonance and then we can stay more easily.
I love that. Yes, I love that so much. That's cool.
Yeah.
Um, and yes, it makes so much sense. I mean, especially living somewhere abroad, but
Mm.
yeah, I love the analogy of the marriage and belonging. And maybe to bring this back to what you do and for people listening, if you could explain a little bit more how this somatic experiencing, because you don't call it somatic breath work, somatic work, or however other title I've been seeing, you say somatic experiencing, and I still am due to come to one of your Sunday gatherings and
Yeah, yeah.
workshop sessions.
Yeah,
Um,
monthly sessions, yeah.
so how can you explain that so that it really lands in real life for someone that's listening?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and just to say, also, do we belong to our own body and how do we feel we belong to our own nervous system? Because this is really the work. It's really the somatic experiencing is drawing us into an experience of our soma, and soma being the Greek word for body, right? And so, yeah, and so it's the work is very much to help us to befriend whatever is in the body. So whether it's unintegrated sensation, emotion, implicit body memories, um, you know, uh, it can be, yeah, all kind. It can be images. It could be impulses, the ways that we want to move the body that we haven't completed. And so whatever gets stuck after an overwhelming event has happened, and had us really collapse, have us freeze, then all that energy that we mobilize to be able to try to fight the threat also gets stuck in the nervous system. So our work is really to track all those pieces that I just named, the sensations, images, behaviors or impulses, affect, which is emotion, and meanings. So there can be words that come. And when we can experience uh, all five of those, which are really the gestalt of any experience, then we can discharge bound survival energy and we get free in our body and our nervous system. Yeah.
And and is there any short explanation for how we can access that space? Like other than like, are you using mainly breath work or what is your
Oh,
modality?
right, right, right. It's just track. It's not just, I shouldn't say tracking, or I shouldn't say just, it's tracking in the
Hmm.
body. So the facilitator will guide you into your body to track. And then also there's all kinds of somatic exercises from somatic experiencing, like ways to bring activation in the body if we're frozen, or ways to bring support if we're really always stuck on in activation. Then there's ways of holding the body and nothing crazy with touch, but there's just simple techniques. And yeah, and so those are some of the primary ways, but it's through embodied movement, but they're very particular targeted interventions based on how that nervous system appears.
Okay. Okay. And then when
Mhm.
someone feels maybe disconnected, or those who are listening, disconnected, overwhelmed, or even stuck in survival mode for some time, what is one gentle first step that they can do at home now without going to full session or without traveling to Bali, even though we would recommend.
Yeah, 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 of course, of course. And I will say that somatic experiencing is over 50 years old now. The founder, Dr. Peter Levine, is one of the pioneers of somatic therapy alongside, Bessel van der Kolk and Stephen Porges and all of these people who created, Betsy Politan, the many people who created these approaches, and some other women from the 1920s. It's been, and then like Moshe Feldenkrais and all
Mhm.
of these guys who started the Rolfers who started this, in the 1920s, these somatic approaches. So just to name that, um, the origins are, yeah, 100 years at least in these modern ways, but it's a modern, and then all the other, Ayurveda and
Yeah.
like Chinese medicine, they've been doing these things in different ways. But okay, so things that you could do now. Um, sorry, in that I wanted to name that it's being taught in like 40 different countries around the world. So that you can access practitioners in almost any place, just to
Yeah.
name. But a technique, let me think. Well, one of them would be the VOO sound. So that's one that's VOOH. And um, the sound, I can do it once. We could try it together.
Yes.
And
Yes.
anyone who's listening could also do it.
Hmm.
So it vibrates the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve, which starts, in the reptilian brain, goes around the ears, behind the esophagus, behind the heart, lungs, and into the gut. It vibrates it and helps it to let go so that we can be in rest and digest or parasympathetic mode. Yeah. So I'll do it once and you can join. And
Okay.
yeah, so it's like this.
You're completely silent on my end. Is that supposed to be?
Ah,
It's interesting.
you can't hear when I make the sound.
I just
Interesting.
heard and then you were gone.
And then it stopped. Yeah, I think sometimes when they think, okay, let me try it quieter because I think sometimes the audio, yeah.
Ah, okay, it was blocking.
Can you hear it?
No, you stop right after the W. That's so funny.
Okay, so it's just letting it all the way out. It's VOOH, and you just continue.
Do you hear me?
I can't hear you either. It's
Oh,
maybe
wow.
it's their way of protecting the practice, the technique.
Hmm.
Um,
Blessing
It's
in.
anyway, VOOH. So I sense when you make, sometimes Zoom blocks the sound when you make longer sounds because they think it's audio, like a music thing or yeah.
Yeah, don't
So
worry. That's easy
I'll
enough
try
to.
it. Yeah, I could try it once more and see if I do it even quieter.
Okay.
Mm.
Mm-mm.
Does it stop?
If this stop again, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
so that one is
Mm-hmm.
one that we can do. And anyway, you just yeah, let your breath go fully out.
And you just do that
Mm.
whenever you feel like I'm in a stress or when you want to consciously call in a practice that you could implement every day now from now on to say, I just want to be one step closer to connecting myself with my body.
Exactly. So this one is great because if you're feeling like frozen or collapsed, like kind of
Mhm.
numb, absent, dissociated, you can do it and it'll bring more activation, like it'll bring more tone. And if you're feeling really activated, like fight, flight, stuck on, it
Yeah,
will bring you into parasympathetic, like rest and digest mode.
nice.
Hmm
Yeah, I'm sure
hmm
a lot of people listening will benefit from that and will try it out. Send me your
Yeah.
sounds if you've
Yeah.
Amazing. Jaya, we're
Yeah.
getting to the limit of our recording time, but I would love to like just give you the mic one more time and by what's one thing that you want, mothers or women, doesn't matter what you want to feel called to speak into, but one thing that you would love for everyone to maybe take on for themselves as a practice or something to take away from today's conversation.
Yeah. Thank you for the great question. Slow down and feel.
Mm,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can never hear that enough.
Yeah, right. It's it's usually that. Yeah.
It's usually that, yes. And especially, and it doesn't even matter in which season of motherhood you are. I feel sometimes I had a conversation with someone about our upcoming retreat, and she said, "Oh, my children, they are out of the house, they're adults, but I'm currently experiencing myself being in a at a crossroads, and I pivot in a career, and I feel again like the pressure of things, almost like holding too much." And so it was very interesting because I thought um, it doesn't matter in which stage you are. We're all the same. Yes, we have, small kids, small problems, bigger kids, bigger problems, small humans like us. The more we grow, the bigger sometimes more complex situation challenges, life situations can become. And so what we all have in common is that we need connection, these
Mm,
beautiful memories of other, wise women just to slow down and feel again.
mm,
Like this is
mm-hmm,
for everyone. And so
mm-hmm,
share,
mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and connection is the antidote to trauma,
yeah.
right? Because trauma is disconnecting and
Mm.
uh yeah, reconnecting with ourselves, with others, with our environment, with nature. Like all of those ways are deeply healing for our nervous systems, for our bodies and our lives. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
With
Yeah.
this, I would like to invite the listeners to really reach out and connect with Jaya, and us, of course, as well, and stay in connection. Yes, first and foremost with yourself, because that is what matters the most. And I hope this episode landed how it's supposed to be landing today for you. Thanks so much again for being here and yeah,
Mm,
taking the time for us.
my
And
pleasure. Thank you.
see you all next time.